Versus Splyce, and it's going to be played on Mirage. We should be going live at any moment. Sadicus is joining me up here on the desk, so let's talk a little bit about this matchup.
Rip NA, they're not going to get 2 out of this group, and Vexed is going to win.
You're saying, well, 100% Vexed is going to win?
Yeah, I think so.
No chance at all.
I mean, I would have been the doubters of Vexed in a lot of ways, having seen them at now 3 consecutive tournaments. This is the 3rd week I've been somewhere they are. And they haven't convinced me at any of those tournaments. APM, they struggled significantly. They lost to CSGO Lounge, the team that they sort of dispelled to become the 2nd best Polish team. Last week, Barcelona, they kind of went a little bit deeper in the tournament than might have been expected. They were still the only team out after the Spaniards, but they went a little deeper because of the whole alliance. They kind of played into that French-Swedish alliance with Fnatic and played a part in it at the end of day 1, so it kind of gained them some immunity. But otherwise, they didn't actually play all that well. The only wins they got was against the Spanish team Existence in particular. So they haven't done much, but yesterday they looked much, much better. Their T sides were a lot more compelling, and I just don't know. Maybe Splyce can get in their heads like Moses said, but already pistol round underway, and it's Jason R. Spots a footstep, and Furlan will see that in turn, but they're going to go aggressively. All 3 players pushing forward for Splyce, so taking this aggressive stance like they did against CLG from the very beginning of this map.
Vexed's going to have to be careful here because they do have the bomb sitting just around the corner here. Thankfully, Splyce don't decide to push any further outside of the T ramp, falling back towards the A bomb site. But now Arya trying to investigate what's going on towards middle there as he breaks the grates just outside of the window room, keeping his eyes on it. And the guys from Vex still going to try to line up an A push here as they move that bomb a little bit closer back towards the A ramp. But another battle starting here. Abe goes for a bit of a peek. Doesn't manage to find anything just as of yet. Jason R did take some mean. He's down at 49 HP now. But no other damage connecting onto the guys from Vexed as of yet. There we go. There's another pickup from Splyce. As they're going to be able to top Vralin along with Groovy. And then we see Oscarish responding there with a pickup onto Abe.
So at least 1 kill going their way, but unfortunately the bomb dropped inside the A site. Professor Chaos going to go on the hunt toward T-spawn. Davies watching Connector, and Jason R inside the palace. Doesn't even need to peek. They got all angles covered off. It would take a pretty impressive round from Oscarish to make this even possible. So Splyce get the early momentum. I have to say that this is the great start that they want, trying to shut down Vexed on a T side that has been their saving grace so far in this tournament. The one game we did see. There it is, Jason R. And there it is, the yelling. So they're going to start from the very beginning now.
The hype from Splyce already getting started on the first round with them winning it. They're even yelling at periods throughout the round there too. So they started off early with a nice aggressive play down the T ramp. Catches Vexed off guard a little bit there. And nearly shut down Vexter, unable to recover in the pistol round. So they're going to start off 1-0 and immediately actually going for a large investment here. Only 1 SMG coming into Splyce, and that's going to be on Jason R. Davey investing for a scout. The other 3 going directly for the FAMASs. We take a look at Vexed, of course. They'll be going for the 2nd round force up. A couple tech lines with armor sitting behind it. Most players, though, just going for P250s, so they can have a little bit more utility this time.
Furlan through the underpass, smoke off in the window, will not confront the fact that Davies inside of it. Gives them jungle control, so good approach this time. If they go fast Splyce in round 1, Vexed will do the same in round 2, and they've actually got a good forward stance inside of the bomb site. So a bomb plant inevitably going to come out, Rollin going to be the one to do so. But look at the rotation. 3 players already on those back stairs. They're going to work in tandem, try and get up the trade kills at the very least, because the rifle's so favorable in these situations. And not only that, playing in this buddy system, there will be no way to grab rifles in this post plant. Oscarish gets toward the window. He thinks he's being clever and had a chance to drop out and try and flank from the connector, as Repo's done the same. He's gone for a long flank rotation, but unfortunately the smoke holds Oscarish out. They only just going to get in position now, and they don't get on the diffuser just yet, so it will be a diffuse. And a round gone. Repo can't do anything about it.
Repo and Oscar is doing some pretty decent damage, though, at the end of that one. They drop both the scout along with one of the FAMASs towards the end of it. So not necessarily the worst thing in the world, and they are able to get the plant going. They will still have to take this round a lot lighter, of course. We take a look at it. Repo buying up a PT-50 with armor sitting behind it. A couple other players are going to invest for some upgraded pistols, a Tech 9 on Rallin and Deagle on Oscarish. But beyond this, of course, Splyce should have an easier time this round, picking up a third point for themselves and then moving on to the first gun round here. And it looks like they're just going to line up for a direct take over towards the A-bomb side. Everybody sitting just outside of the T-ramp. The smoke going to be tossed in by Furlan. And now they move directly in towards A. Very late on the initial defenses again, but this smoke is definitely going to call them in a lot earlier this time, leaving it open to Abe along with Davey. The smoke is actually good because it's not going to allow Davey to pick up on too much. And also, they take down Abe back over by CT, so Groovy's going to be able to pick up that kill. And they actually might have a chance to hold this now. However, Splyce going for a fast retake again. We'll see how this goes.
Smoke off on Palace. Response, though, as Repo once again jumps aggressively across the sandwich. Yeah, going to get one more in return, though. But look at this turn. That's, once again, Vexed is going to get through the round. A good forward stance finds them in a 2 versus 2, although that's going to be shut down very quickly. Rollins got it down to the one-on-one. They're holding the defuse. He's off this. Professor Chaos, he's not 100% sure. Look at that mouse sensitivity, how snappy that is. You think that's going to cost him at some point, but he still finds Rollin. But another close round, a massive investment lost. Once again, a good forward and aggressive stance from Vex. They're jumping over. They're not scared to take the fight inside of the smokes they're deploying. So their execution is already looking quite sound. And they're going to go immediately onto the AWP. While the CTs can afford one on Professor Chaos, but the rest of them are quite limited.
These two anti-ecos were also incredibly close as well, so I'm a bit worried for Splyce and how Vexed are going to perform now that they are back up to an equal arsenal. Let's see if Splyce try to do anything. I'm curious, rather, to see if Splyce is going to try to do anything more interesting this round to try and throw it off. However, it looks like Vex are going to be pretty straightforward with their initial push, moving everybody just to the B bomb site and going directly in where they have 3 committed pretty heavily to the A site this time.
That's the biggest problem, is they dropped over the op to Davey, and he tries to get aggressive in Palace, which means Abe has to support him down below, but if this pressure goes on to B, that's a long rotation. So deep smoke in from Professor Chaos will slow it down. That's the saving grace in this, because now they can buy time to get more information, but Vexed isn't going to show their hand anywhere else. Abe's going to go through Palace. This will pull Davey back inside the site, and hopefully, with the smoke on A main, back toward Connector as well, because, and exactly that. So they go towards CT stairs instead, but at least gets them closer to a rotation position.
Still no movement coming in as of yet from the side of Vex, as they're holding back behind that smoke now. Taking themselves a little bit slowly here too, but they are starting to line things up, getting ready to throw the smokes into the site. No full rotation commitment as of yet from Splyce either, as they're still sitting mainly on the A site, but now the smokes are going to be tossed in. It should be a quick one being called up by Jason R. Just watching for a cat push just in case, but as they move in, Furlan finds the opening pickup. Now it's all on R to defend this site. He's sitting on the back of it, trying to find a kill over on Furlan, but it's going to be the opposite now. Jason R. rolling in. He is able to trade out the kill onto Furlan, but holding still inside of Market, waiting for his teammates to rotate, and he doesn't have time to do this. He needs to start clearing out this bomb site. So going to push back in. Doesn't catch Ostre, sitting inside of the smoke on the site just by the bomb planet. So Vex look like they're going to hold control of this one, and the save has been called for the 2 remaining players on Splyce.
And they have to. Again, going back to how much damage Vexed has done to the economy, and despite losing the pistol, I would say arguably they've been the better team in the last 2 rounds considering the weaponry. Splyce going to have to find an anchor into this game very early on, try and find a way to get information. I like the aggression from Davey, but again, they commit 3 players to it, so they can't get much out of the rotations. Good execution once more. Important to keep this AWP up because they'll have the first round against them, but they're going to be reset down to just under 2 grand on most players. So those 2 guns will be pretty much all they have. And I'm curious to see if they try and get a little bit more out on Professor Chaos, where he's sitting at 29, slightly higher than his teammates.
More than likely just going to see an upgraded pistol or 2 being put up onto him. Just a P250 is all he's going to go for. So not looking for anything extra, but a good play there from Vex in taking it slow, causing a lot of insecurity with Splyce. They started to rotate over, but they only spread themselves out further on the A-bomb side, and the reality of this one to allow for at least one player to have a quicker rotation to B, but those initial B-site defenses were not held very well at all. In fact, they were both just taken down without any trades happening whatsoever. So it was a very simple job for Vex to try and hold that off and win the remaining 5-on-3 from that point forward. But 2 rifles saved. Still going to have an op and play on Davey, of course, and the M4 on Abe, so we'll see what they'll be able to do with this one. And Vex, not going to be very straightforward with the play anymore. Trying to split things up. Maybe look for some early kills here if they can find them on a Splyce.
Jason, P250, close angle, but Davey's going to be the one that opens the round once more. That's aggressive, by the way. He's all the way in through the B apartments right now with the AWP, so he's got all kinds of information. They've got the other 4 already rotated onto A to compensate for that, and smoke's going out on Connector. There's going to be no one at mid. They can try and play forward of this, but Jason, he doesn't realize it because he's flashed. He walks back on top of the flames. He'll go down, still though a 2 versus 2. Professor Chaos in a decent position with this P250. No one peeking from Palace. He can push forward. He can deny the bomb plant. And although there's 44 seconds, they now have control of the situation. Good trade from Davey. And once more, the vocal cords will be stretched. But the economy is going to be worn thin because that's going to reset Vexed.
Big mistake on Vex and not checking that position behind the firebox there. Professor Chaos stops the plant, and the rotation from Davey is just in time too to take out the player on the repeat from Palace there. I thought when they had walked back inside of the flames and we saw those 3 kills being traded out by Vex that it was going to be game over. It was good movement there from Splyce too, and the fact they even caught that rotation in the first place and moved all their players to the A-bomb side to concentrate there. So good reads coming out from the Splyce side of this one. And now Vex is going to be down behind once again. They'll be forcing up as they do not want to let this lead get away from them here. 3 AKs. 2 pistols, and a whole lot of utility to use in this round.
So PC, once more barrowed in by the bench. Grubby, Repo going to be, this time rather, not committing all the way onto B. They're going to wait to try and get further execution onto A and figure out what they can find. If they find the pick on B, surely they'll rotate over. If not, they'll go back through the underpass. Davies pushed a lot inside of mid. Now he's got information there's no one toward the horseshoe, but he's going to be caught by Furlan, and he's got the AWP. He's going to have to react very quickly, and he's not prepped for it at all.
So Davey caught off guard, and that's going to hand over another rifle to the side of Vexed, with that being picked up by Furlan. Now, Arya trying to get himself back in towards the middle to see what's going on, but he also needs to be cautious of a potential push coming in through the apartments. Rowland could actually pull off a huge fake here. The actual execution is on its way over towards the A bomb site, but Splyce, again, unaware of the situation that's currently unfolding, are going to split the remaining defenses here. Arya trying to figure out what's going on. And they're slowly now moving in to take control of A. Back over towards B, the fake does not end up working. It's only one player, but it has given enough time for Ostre to try and drive a wedge between the remaining A and B site defenses here. On the site, Abe is taken down by the firebox here. Jason R is able to respond with one pickup onto Oskarish to try and allow the further rotations to roll back in, but now they need to pull off a 3v3 retake with very minimal utility, and also Arya very low. But however, Jason R again with a peek from Ticket Booth. This is not being punished at all by Vex's side of this one. There's Repo picking up the kill onto Arya, but Professor Chaos again performing well here. Shuts down Repo, so it's on Furlan to clutch out the 1v2.
WP to try and do it with. Fakes the bomb plant, tries to force the issue, has the offset, but can't land the shot. So another round they find themselves into with an aggressive buy, and this leaves them even worse than the last round.
No way.
Splyce,
No way.
I mean, again, you go back to the fact that the gun rounds were so close. Vex had a really good chance to get full control of this game early on, but now Splyce are getting rounds on the narrowest of margins, and there's nothing they can do about it at this point in time. Vex will have to concede or try and eco out this one with a hard rush through Palace. And Davies toward window, so that actually could work out if Abe gets caught.
No one's really watching for a Palace rush right now. They're all keeping their eyes on T-Ramp, so it's actually going to completely overwhelm them. Abe picking up one kill, but at the same time, we also don't see Jason R grabbing any. Davey, though, doing some work. Back over by the jungle, he finds 2 kills with the op, peeking out, looking for more. Down to 14 HP now, so he's got to be a little bit more cautious, but also got to get some support from his teammates. Arya down at 4 HP. We did see Furlan drop very low, too. The nade's going to roll, and that finishes off Furlan, and now it's just Oskarish in a 1v2. Arya cannot really help out his teammate, though. They haven't found where Oskarish is hiding out yet, sitting over here inside of the firebox. So we may be able to get lucky and find the head of Professor Chaos jumping up. They spotted him now. Now he's surrounded. They're literally sitting right next to each other, but Arya's going to find the kill. And again, Splyce will win out the round here. 6-1 now in their favor.
Once again with pistols, though, look how close the round is. So Splyce are literally getting through this by the skin of their teeth. The issue with it is that it keeps their economy honest throughout the course of this entire game. So if Vex can find a round early enough, they've got a great chance to take over full control of the half, as mentioned. And they're going to go immediately back to the AKs. All 5 players buying into them. Meanwhile, on the CT side, they've dropped out at least one M4 that I can see. I think they've got 2. Yeah, there's the second one on, picked up on Abe. But their buy is not ideal in the fact that Davey doesn't have any utility to work with. Not so bad as he is the AWP player, but he's been playing aggressively, it has to be said. This time he's going to double up this B play. So they've got a player in Catwalk, 2 players inside the B site, another chance for a fast A hit potentially, but they're going to take mid control first, evaluate, see if they want to split through the connector.
We actually haven't seen a whole lot of mid control being exercised by Vexed here, at least since the earlier rounds. Since they've been able to get some guns in their hands, they haven't really played with middle that much, and this is working out great now. Repo and Groovy pick up 2 kills. Repo's kill was found on the fake, so it's not necessarily as potent, but as they're going to start to move potentially towards one of these sites here, Davey does strike back. Picks up 1 with the op, but at a heavy cost to his own life. He's now down at 23 HP, and also Splyce still do not have a read as to where the take is going to be coming from as of yet. And with Rowland managing to get himself all the way inside of jungle, the remaining T-side players are going to rotate over towards this A bomb site. But Jason R, again, playing from that ticket booth position, going to start to get aggressive, moving out, waiting for the peek, hoping he can trade out a couple blows. Still has the support of the smoke, but that's going to be fading soon. So we're going to be very cautious until support arrives.
Jason has that position, that sneaky spot, left side open sight. Walks back through the smoke, he gets 2. Doesn't deny the plant, though, crucially, so still a chance for Vex once more.
Just going to go for the ninja now.
Yeah, to get this into control, but the Molotov and the smoke, he's absolutely going to... Jason's lost it. He thinks he's on it. Finally, he'll find it, because that could have cost him. It still buys a little bit more time, but they get 1. It's down to only Oskarish, and he can't do anything about it. 7-1 now.
And again, no saves at all for Vex. Nobody able to retreat out of the site. They all take the battles there, and they're going to falter. Should mention again, though, that still very close rounds, so still no economy build up from Splyce. It's still going to be kept under control, as you were mentioning a couple of rounds ago. And Vex now being on the full losing bonus here, or pretty much the full losing bonus, and being able to get a consistent amount of plants, just going to be able to recycle this into another rebuy here, so going directly into the next gun round. Splyce, though, starting to get a very, very big lead, and that's what's going to get dangerous for Vex as we head later into the half.
Furlan. Smoke out, not only short so that they can't peek over top of the connector smoke, but one in it as well, which means they can't push through quite so comfortably. Arya is going to be playing from the corner underneath the arch at Catwalk, and he's crossfire right now. Is going to be crucial, as they do have one toward the bench. That's Professor Chaos. Furlan's going to catch the lurk of Jason R trying to push through as well. But the crossfire works. Arya 1. Making now 2 as Professor Chaos picks up the 3rd in all 3 of those flurry of frags, and it's just Furlan that remains. There's going to be a timeout called right now because Vexed are starting to slip away from this more and more. As again, early rounds close, the last 2 not so much.
The B site defense was incredibly weak as we go back to the earlier rounds there from the side of Splyce, but they've actually increased its potency quite a bit. Just looking at it here, Professor Chaos is actually surprising quite a bit with the amount of kills he's been able to pick up here. And Arya, along with Jason R, just going absolutely massive right now. 12 kills for Arya. Jason R sitting down a little bit lower at 9, and Professor Chaos at 7. Davey, too, at 9 kills as well. Abe's the only player that's not really performing very well at this point. However, still, the team is leading by a big margin, so that doesn't matter.
The big thing with Professor Chaos is that not all of his kills have been in the B site. Because of the retake game, because of how close the rounds have been, a lot of them have been on A on retakes, which is equally as significant. Because you're right, they haven't really put a lot of pressure on this B early, but the last 2 rounds, they've had a triple stack toward it. So we saw an aggressive mid last time through Catwalk. Davey's going to close it out. But they also had the AWP there, and then this round, another crossfire set with mid controlled. A little bit late to try and grab that control. And luckily, Furlan actually did try and negate that, but as you mentioned, just crossfire. The team play has been quite good in that site. So Vex's going to try and come up with an alternate attack here, an alternate plan. And I don't mind this. This is, again, a best-of-1 series to qualify for the major. If Vex don't succeed here, they go against CLG, which is not an easy task. So getting an early time out of the way, I actually respect this. A lot of teams wait really late in games to try and use them, but they're going to need rounds really early on. So.
And it's been, I think, 5 rounds in a row now that we've seen the guys from Splyce managing to pick up. Vexed have been trying a couple of different strategies, but nothing's really been paying off for them. And even going towards the usual mid-control, too, they see teams like Virtus Pro trying to utilize a lot on this map. It just didn't work out. They got it. They found a couple kills there, too. But upon entering the site, Splyce's actual site holds ended up being a lot more potent than they were expecting. And along with their retake power, it's just been a struggle for Vexed to try and close up these rounds.
It's because they have been quite quick on the rotations is the big thing, is that Vexed haven't been able to establish the post-plant positions. And the one thing I will say is that earlier on, they were at least making rounds close. Like you said, they got that big control. They were utilizing connector. They've kind of been shying away from A, despite that it was actually the post plants that were hurting them, not getting in and getting the bomb down and going toward this B site instead. It's actually been worse off for them. So if they had stuck with their guns, surely they would have started to pick up rounds. However, this is interesting. Splyce. They're expecting a mid pressure. Yeah. Splyce knows this is going to be an eco, and they're going to put everyone in mid. There's no one in B right now at all.
So Vex going to be looking at a free plan at the minimum in this round here, too, along with site control. Splyce, just realizing what's going on in the situation, they're going to move in for a quick rotation on Cat and Arya. They're going to try to cut things off as he moves over to the back halls. However, he's going to have an early battle with Rallin up close, too. Does not expect him to be that close. So he grabs a free kill on Arya. We also saw Ostre finding another pickup on a Jason R. So down number 3v5 with virtually 0 damage done. They're trying to move in for the retake, but Furlan continues to hold outside of Market. 2 kills for him as he drops both Abe along with Davey. And now you're just down to Professor Chaos. Nothing left for him to do. He's got to run. And Vex, of all the rounds to escape with, they managed to grab this one.
Just PC left. Finally, Vex do get around. Scrapped away from nothing. A missed call from Splyce. I'm not sure what they were expecting. If you're going to sit in middle like that, I think they were waiting for the flashes to come over, the mid pressure to come in, because, again, we did see Vex start to utilize that. But if they're not going to force the issue, and you're just going to sit there wasting time, then you've either got to go peek yourself or get out of there and go back to your default. So, bit of a stubborn play from Splyce. I admire their ability to change things up, and obviously after the timeout, that gave them some time to talk about it as well. Let's think about the changes they're going to make, and they wanted to try something a little different. But Vex will pick up that round, and as mentioned, the economy's not great on the CT side based on how contested those rounds were early on. So they'll go for one more buy, but after this, they could actually be broken, and Vex could find their way back in quite quickly.
And the worst part about this is, again, we're looking at a misplacement of resources here on the side of Splyce. If Vex decide to go directly in towards the B-bomb site, they're going to be running into Professor Chaos. He only has a CZ to defend this, sitting just below the apartment, so he's very quickly going to be overwhelmed, and those rotations have to be very quick if they even want to have a chance at the retake there.
Keep in mind as well that Splyce does have issues on their T side, as we saw yesterday on Cash, so they need to continue on with this momentum. Arya has come back around from Catwalk. Seems a far cry from his Area 51 days, right? He's out one game away from qualifying for a major. Arya used to be Mo's punching bag on Area 51 for a long time, but it's Professor Chaos that'll start this one off. You said that CZ75. Well, he's at least found one kill with it. Davies rotated early. The AWP finds one more, but he's gone. And Arya can't land the shot on Grubby.
As we see Abe moving back in, he's able to grab Repo a little bit further out towards Cat. So now it's going to be the 2 versus 2. However, Abe, very low at 15 HP. He's going to be coming in behind Jason R, who leads the charge. Groovy does give away his position over here towards bench and gets caught switching weapons. So first kill for free, and also Rowland down very low, working with the op. Abe's going to take him down. Abe does end up killing himself at the end of the day, but that doesn't even matter as Splyce are going to be able to again pull off another retake and now find their 9th round. Will be leading 9-2 against Vexed. Continue on their conquest, earn the spot at the major. Biggest mistake for Vexed in that round was taking so long to execute out into the B site. They gave Splyce all the time in the world they needed to pull off that rotate, and we're in too good of a position to retake.
So, Splyce hanging on once more will now in turn reset Vexed after that 5-round loss was reset themselves. They managed to get up guns one more time, which is hugely impressive. Still, their money's tight, so if Vexed can hold on, they'll get back into this, but 9 rounds already and 2 for them. This is starting to get very, very threatening. Bounce smoke, as always, in toward middle. It's Professor Chaos that'll be blinded off by that, not have the vision toward mid. Davey, 2 peaks, not able to pick the second one, hits Rollin in the knee instead, so he's down to 33. He won't readdress it. I like that. That's a little bit clever, a little bit creative, and he actually was quite close to hitting that shot through the wooden window.
So now again, Splyce trying to spread things out a little bit. It's working because Vex continue to play very slowly and just feed into the kills for the guys on Splyce now. Professor Chaos finding the first bit of this round, managing to take down Furlan. The rest of Vex now trying to move closer towards middle to hold control here. Arya is going to get pressured in a moment if he decides to stick around. It actually moves inside of the ladder room, going to hold back a little bit. I think he does sense some of the pressure coming his way, so try and hold it, dropping down, but still. Now they've got mid control. They've kind of handed it over. The Splyce guys had over to Vex, but as we can see, there's Abe with another pickup, managing to take down Repo, and Arya just spraying away. Actually brings Ostre down to about 4 HP, but a great shot from Rowland takes down Arya. Now they've got it mid control again, but where do they go from here? This is where they struggled. They've been able to get mid control plenty of times, but they haven't been able to successfully transfer it to a site and hold it.
PC's gone passive on window as well because he knows with that mid pressure applied that they can't quite hold that comfortably. The boost is common. Abe, you need to hit that shot every day of the week. Rollin picks up the kill, and this now starts to look more threatening. Keep in mind, though, that all 3 players right now for Vex are extremely low, but they've been given a little bit of time to find some decent post plant positions. So Rollin's out toward the default on the stairs, but Ruby's in a better spot. He catches Davey completely off guard. Not expecting him to be so quick to the draw, and now it's PC on 2, and they can play the time, but that's an overcommitment. Rollin does not need to be facing that far. There's still time to face out Ruby, who's low on HP. Luckily, he gets around the corner before Professor Chaos finds it, but they're going to pick up this round, and once more, they'll be able to carry guns in the next round when Vexed had a chance to capitalize. This is falling apart for the Polish side.
Splyce is taking this on such a thin line, though, because, again, you bring up the economy for the CT side. These guys, look at the money they have. They barely just tread enough from round to round to be able to afford their rebuys time and time again. Vex, thankfully, on this T side, are working off of the virtue that they're actually getting consistent plans so they can keep rebuying into these rounds a lot of the time. However, for Splyce here too, they're just barely able to afford this. Look, they have to do like a gun donation rally here now, just tossing the guns around to make sure everybody can get what they need heading into this one. So Splyce have been winning consistently, but the second they start losing any sequence of rounds in a row, they're going to be put onto an eco very, very fast here.
Abe forward stance this time. Only 2 in the A site. Second players, Jason R, back toward the CT stairs. Davies in window, no smoke on it. That should be an indicator because they've thrown smoke on the window every single time that they're not going to be there. So Davey rotates quickly, and he does read the play. He takes down Repo. Furlan will get back into Abe, but it's just these pistols to work with. They haven't got a bomb down this time to try and establish some economy further. Meanwhile, Furlan does pick up at least one more on Jason R, but Arya over the stairwell, obliterated by Rollin.
Professor Chaos not able to support because of the smoke sit up right now. You've got Rowland sitting just on the other side of it, but Professor Chaos does not want to risk until Davey is in position by the ticket booth. He's starting to creep up now. Again, they have one of these players very, very low, but they're running out of time for this retake, so they need to move in. Not managed to spot them as of yet on the other side of that ticket booth. So Davey pushing in, firing that first shutoff. Now they're going to drop down inside, and Davey unfortunately losing his teammate there, and then Oskarish picks up the final kill onto Davey. Splyce with a big slip up there, handover around to the side of Vexed. Now they're going to empty out their economy, as we were talking about before, and immediately put onto a save here. So Vex finally have an opportunity to pick up a couple of rounds in a row and maybe bounce back a little bit here as we come to the closing rounds of the half.
This is finally the chance for Vexed. If they can get to 5, all right, it's salvageable considering Splyce's difficulties yesterday on the T side, but my God, have they ever made it hard for themselves if that's the case. Jason R with pistol, pops back out, tries to get a repeat after the flash did come over, but it's all Vexed on the way through. 3 quick kills, no damage really dealt aside from Furlan. Davey blinded off. He'll be found, but oddly enough, not able to take him down. He gets 2 kills. That's far more than he ever should have gotten in that situation, as Groovy will eventually put him in, get it over with, put them on 4, but they're still not great for money, so Oscarish is on 3450. Can get an AK, but not much utility to go with it. Worse off still, the CTs. Back to that shotgun for Professor Chaos. Davey has to join him this time.
I forget who it was on the desk that was talking about this earlier. I think it was Moses, but I could be mistaken. They've already pointed out my memory does not serve me the best.
I don't really listen to them anyway, so.
But anyway, they were pointing out that actually one of the worst things that Vex could have done was let Splyce win these first couple of rounds, because it would have let them get gun buys rolling and keep their economy somewhat stable, and that's exactly what happened here. They were consistently able to have the gun advantage over Vexed here and win round after round after round again. We would have hoped that Vex would have picked up 2 or 3 in a row here at some point, but it just never happened, and Splyce weren't able to keep their economy together up until this point at least. But as soon as they got on that eco, just like look at what happened. They got ripped to shreds. Now they go for another buy though, and it looks like they're holding strong.
Sexy.
As Arya gets that nice scout shot there to take down Furlan, leaving it a 4-on-3.
Repo going to drop back down through mid. They're going to recuperate toward the horseshoe position. Work together. Smoke off window now, so Jason R knows they're in mid. That's the giveaway every single time. He falls away through the vents. This is becoming more and more common that if you're going to give up window, you'll play it from vents so they can't cross over toward jungle at the very least. But it does mean that you're also not in position to help support inside of the A site. Fortunately, look at this push, though, that they've got going on right now. Professor Chaos is all the way out toward the T-spawn. That's a lot of information given. So they should be aware that jungle's pretty much the only access to the A site at this point.
And now moving out, Arya is actually going to check inside of connector, picks up the shot into Repo for free, and now looking for another one, not expecting Rowland to be that close. So Rowland does take him down. That opens the B bomb site, and Vex are going to move into there. Splyce, though, realizing this, they're going to go for the quick rotation. JR is going to be here very soon, and actually takes a paddle with Rowland, but big mistake by Rowland, trying to kick up the dust with that HE. Does not connect as well as he was hoping. He wins that battle, and now leaving his teammate out to dry. It's Groovy in a 1v2.
Going to try and plant this early as well. Professor Chaos a little bit late to get in position, but still does get the kill, and it will be 11-4 at the half for Splyce. Definitely an incredible position for them to be in. The team that didn't even qualify for the qualifier, but still were allowed to be in the qualifier due to the fact that Mongols couldn't make it to the qualifier because they weren't qualified to get visas, Blue.
That's a interesting conundrum.
My heart goes out to them. Wouldn't it have been great to see them in this group?
But how crazy is this going to be if we see them win this match here? Like, of all the North American teams you would expect to see in a major, and be the first one to qualify, too, like at the highest point in the event, the highest placing at the qualifier, and one that gets the highest seeding. Splyce.
Those stickers will be worth something. I would buy those just for the sake of collection.
An interesting point in Counter-Strike history, as it were.
I mean, they've definitely played extremely well, like you said. I mean, I was calling them out for having issues trying to control bomb sites early. Vex getting a number of bomb plants down. But I have to say, like you said, the retakes were actually pretty good. They didn't allow Vex much time to set up into the post plants. I was being a little bit skeptical because I thought it was only a matter of time before Vex started to get the momentum going. Even in the first 2 rounds when after the pistol was won by Splyce, it looked like they were barely winning those, but yet they find a way. I mean, they're staying in this. They're working as a team. You can hear how hyped they're getting. They definitely have the confidence about them. And I think there was about 6 1-versus-2s or 1-versus-1s in that half, which is, I mean, kept the economy close, but it goes to show you how close Vex really were. But now they've made it extremely hard for themselves. Without this pistol, it might actually be Splyce to qualify.
Yeah, so the thing is, though, is if we do see Vex pick up this pistol, there is still a very good chance for a resurgence of some points you were bringing up earlier. And, of course, some things that we saw yesterday in their match versus CLG is that their T side takes a very long time to adjust when their strategies aren't working. We saw them trying the same thing over and over and over again against CLG, and for a large portion of that first half, it just was not working. They finally adjusted it, started to bounce back a couple of rounds, but still, if they keep trying for the same strat and Vex reads it early enough, and they get the economical advantage to start off on, we could be looking at a very swift comeback in the favor of the CTs now.
It would be disastrous and disappointing for Splyce, I think you could say. But after seeing... Remember yesterday, so the thing with Splyce, after seeing their CT side, I was going to say, but remember, their execution was actually correct. It was their ability to adapt and make sure that they were taking care of what was against them. So they had good wall of smokes on Cash. They had a good smoke play on A, but they weren't using Molotovs to clear players against them. If someone got aggressive, they didn't have a counter to it. So Vex can set the tempo in this game if they can get the momentum early. As Rico's going to take down Davey, but look at the push. They've got the CTs forced away from the bomb site. Jason are going to plant safe on the inside of triple box. Furlan smoked off, so can't do much about it. Tries to play cleverly on the stairs and see through the gap, but he hasn't spotted anyone just yet. Professor Chaos confronted by 3, though.
Nice shot from Groovy to take down Professor Chaos before he's traded out. But then Groovy picking up more there, dropping down Arya. Jason R finding one pickup here, but now he's the last one alive, and 1 versus 3 finds the first kill. He's surrounded now, and Groovy's going to push in. It'll be Rowland that finishes him off from Palace, so Vex will be picking up the pistol round here. Nice job on surrounding the remaining Splyce players, but they did move in quickly enough to be able to force the plant there. So if we see them sticking to a light buy here going into the second round of this half, we could be looking at a third round buy, and it's very likely considering this team. But actually, it does not look like that's going to be the case.
You know what I think we need on stream today?
What do we need?
More sloth.
More sloth?
More sloth.
I actually missed, I missed the hype completely. I missed the queue when we,
Me too.
We had it yesterday.
It's all right,
I
don't
didn't
worry
even
about
notice. Like, it was on Reddit and everything, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even notice that happened. The victory sloth with the zooms.
So Vexed with the start that they want. It's 2 MP9s in this round. Sure, against pistols, it's fine. They've got armor and Tech 9, so they're still not the most secured weapon. If they can win this one and get into the next, though, they'll farm a massive amount of cash. And there won't be a buy after this because they forced up so early. In fact, the rifle as well for Jason. So Splyce getting very aggressive. I have to admire the ability for them to be slightly unorthodox, not be scared and hesitant as most newer teams are in these situations. A bomb not going to be planted this time. It's already been dropped on the way through. Furlan and Rawlin each picking up a kill. So it'll be a full save in the next round regardless. Yeah. Jason R is going to get dropped here inevitably. Yep, down he goes.
Just a wipe there. And again, no plant this time from Splyce, unfortunately, so not able to get that little bit of extra cash rolling for these guys. Good amount of control being taken, and Vexed, actually playing very, very passively on their A-site defense, so they are kind of letting them in and potentially letting them get these plants, which will give them that economical boost to go for a force buy once again. However, they hold it nicely that time, and I think Splyce got a little bit too aggressive for their own good if they wanted to try and win out that round.
So, Vexed with just Glocks. And hopefully they talk to Dazed to see if this will work. But Groovy's going to play slightly forward inside of the site. Second man's Repo, he's toward the stairwell, and here we go again. The executions from Splyce, the smokes that they have, they're thrown quite accurately. Repo's got to get inside of the site. He does catch off the bomb, trying to go for that fast plant. That was the ambition, that was the goal. But that goal, it's going to be denied. 2 kills from the SMG as well from Roland. You can call it money, money, baby. Shout out to Henry G.
And there you go, Vex closing out their 7th round, and just like that, we're back to a fairly close game. Just a 4-round advantage now for Splyce. However, they are getting the guns into their hands. We're not going to see an op being invested here in this first gun round. Can't really afford it efficiently at this point in time, so just going to pass on this. Go with the 5 AKs. Vexed taking a look at their own buys here too. A couple guns being dropped on the floor here as they have to trade it around, but Rowland is going to be picking up the op for the CT side, so they have much higher firepower here against Splyce. Also, another thing for Splyce, too, a little bit limited on utility, mainly just working with smokes and flashbangs. Don't really have any HEs or mollies to try and force players on Vexed into positions. With how passive they've been playing, those could really be utilized here on a more straightforward take.
The 5 AKs flash going to go in toward the Palace position. That let Groovy at least get some information. There's no one waiting inside of the kingdom. The princess isn't home, Blue. He's in the green room, actually, with a shiny head. But they are going to try and take mid. Wall of Smokes does cut off Furlan from Catwalk. Instead, he goes toward the ladder room, and Arya is going to take that away from him. This is good map control already established. Not only that, Arya, he's getting super aggressive. He'll take down one player in the back of the B site as well. Oscarish falls, and it's now their site to work with. Very, very fast from Arya.
Save call has already come in, too. When you look at Vex, they're just holding out the A site now. They're not even going to attempt this retake. Splyce on the first gun round. A perfect push into that B bomb set. As you were saying, greatly done by Arya, leading the charge for his team. And these final 2 from Vex don't know what to do with themselves. They're just going to have to fall away and try to save for the next gun round. Now, there is still a decent amount of cash sitting on quite a few of the players from Vex, so assuming they don't have any trouble keeping these 2 rifles in play heading into the next round, they're actually going to be looking at a pretty decent force-up should they decide to go for it. And with the money they have, there's not really any reason why they wouldn't, especially with the lead being against them. However, Jason R picks up that kill on a Groovy, and all of a sudden, it's not so sure anymore.
And save the op if you dare, Roland. Does make at least a fancy, pretty little shot we can marvel at. Woo! That's where the screams are coming from. That explains it. They're worshiping the devil.
I don't know if I would describe a dragon as a devil.
They're both fiery creatures, Blue. We can make that assumption.
Suppose they're both red.
There's a connection there. So you're assuming the devil's red. He was green when he was disguised as a snake.
I don't know much biblical stuff.
Me neither.
Grandfather, how do we know the snake was green?
That's a good point. Could have been brown, could have been black, could have been yellow. Some snakes are yellow, blue. But Arya, he doesn't care what color snakes are. He cares what color blood is because he's going to extract that from Groovy's head, and Jason R will do the same from Roland. Repo finally decides he's had enough of that and would like to taste his own, but unfortunately the pistols, that's the only kill they've gotten so far. And Splyce, They're about to find their 13th round. Vexed on only 7. This is a great storyline so far. Davy's got one more. Be careful, though, because he's gone down to 27 HP as Furlan tries to menace on further in this round.
Just trying to hold off now with that 5-7, down to 12 HP, getting overloaded by grenades being tossed in from the Splyce guys. So he falls back, lets them get the plant. He's going to wrap around this a little bit. I imagine heading inside a window room and trying to sneak a kill from jungle. Not even going to want to risk that. Just heads outside towards middle. Not really going to be a huge save with this 5-7, but would be probably going into a buy on the next round anyway. So there we go. Gets himself out in the open. Ari's going to shut him down, and Splyce grow ever closer to being the first North American team here to qualify for the upcoming major. 3 rounds away. Vex falling behind once again with a deficit of 6.
NA's new hope. Why not?
Such a very unexpected hope. Maybe not necessarily.
I'll tell you what, if they qualify and make it out of groups at the major, I'll get a Splyce tattoo.
Wow, a Splyce tattoo. The permanent?
Also not allowed to get tattoos because of my bleeding disorder, so it might kill me, but I'm willing to take that chance.
Wow, you were devoted. That's a big risk.
It is a big risk. I've had enough, Blue.
So you're essentially saying if Splyce makes it out of groups in the major, you will potentially kill yourself.
Yes. That is not what I said, but yes. I was actually trying to be positive about it, but you're right. You read me completely, and you've dissected this down to the point where the real me comes out. You're right.
Anyway, back into a bit of a gun round here. Vex obviously forcing up their investment a little bit, using a lot of their utility very early on. They're panicking here, and look at the rotation that's already been drawn over towards this A site. A great fake that's coming in from Splyce. They've already cleared out the only B site defender. Ari's picking up some kills, back over on A. The fake ultimately fails, but it works because they get themselves onto the B site. They're going to get this plant, and Vex have just now realized what's going on, so they're going to be on late to rotate.
I'm fearing my life at this point in time, but Davey, he's got the bomb down. This will be 14 potential rounds now for Splyce as Furlan tries to retake from the flank position, but he's found out early. Davey gets that shot, goes for the repeat. It's Groovy that's there instead. It's down to 2 versus 2, but Professor Chaos, he's going to make this all too hard now for Repo, who has no kit, and he's got no escape plan either. Gun gone from him, and it's 2 rounds to go. I actually have to admire this. This is old school yelling at its finest.
I feel like it's just going to get continuously, I'm really scared to see what happens if they win when they get to 16 rounds. Because at this point, it just keeps getting louder and louder every single round. It's like they're all just going to explode at some point here pretty soon. So they're inching closer again. Vex on another eco here too, and not even really forcing the issue. They're saving up. They want to try to contest it until the last round. That's a very dangerous decision because then they're going to be looking at 8 rounds they have to get in a row here. They might have just given up at this point. Vex, they're falling behind. They had a little bit of cash left over, but they want to try and save to contest it when Splyce get up to 15 rounds, assuming they don't upset here. And look, Splyce have read this. They're sitting back. They're playing passive. They're waiting for Vex to get aggressive.
Repo waiting for the push at middle right now. There is 3 players at the horseshoe position, so he's correct in his assumption that there will be mid-pressure applied, but they're being passive on Splyce's side, knowing the situation and that there is no weapons for Vex to work with. Arya gets one on Rollin. That'll start things off and already shift the defense back to a passive hold on the A site.
Great pickup by Arya, though, so it's going to kill the fake. And that is a free gun going onto the ground here for anybody on Vex that wants to go pick it up. They've realized what's happening. They're going to try to get aggressive on mid to confirm it. And because of how passive Splyce was, they're still keeping their options open, granted. They can now just go for mid control and go to whichever site they do please. But Vex have read this, so they do gain a little bit of an advantage. Ultimately, though, 3 pistols and 1 rifle versus 4 rifles, still not going to be a battle that you can ultimately win. So they push themselves up cat pretty quickly, getting themselves up to the B-bomb site, killing Furlan along the way. Now they have to deal with sitting back over here behind the van. It's going to be Ostre getting 1 kill, potentially picking that up over there. And Professor Chaos was not expecting a player to be playing here. And all of a sudden, they might have a chance this month. They're going to force him out. Not going to find any more kills, as Jason R doesn't end up trading him out.
2 versus 2. Vexed. A slight footing in this round. Groovy's got armor to go with that AK as well, so right player to have it. Oh, gun barrel protrudes. It was the chance. He wanted to be so sneaky. Not allowed. Forget it. As Groovy now, though, does still have this AK. No kit, remember, as the bomb not planted. 12 seconds. All he has to do is actually just deny Jason from doing so, but he's not in a good position to do it. Jason's got it down. He's going to hold the angle. When he peeks and Jason's got the shot, it's map point. It's qualifying point for the Cinderella story that is Splyce.
And Jason R survives that with only 15 HP left over as well. Vexed, this is going to be absolutely brutal for them if they drop this one. Splyce, the worst part about this too is Splyce even have enough to go for force buys after this. So Vex, this is their last big investment. They have to win it out here. And they still have to deal with 1 probably more force buy coming up after this as well from the side of Splyce if we see Vex picking up this round in itself. So here we go, Splyce looking to qualify potentially in the last round now, 15-7. They hold a big advantage, and again, we're lining up a similar push to what we saw in the last round.
Davey Gets caught by Roland, though, this time trying to get aggressive toward B with the AWP. Good flash for Lan. Well done. But he's going to go back toward the window. He catches one player jumping through, but his reaction's slower than the sloth on the back of the monitor on Splyce's side. Perhaps that's why it's there. A little bit of bad luck as Arya gets the shot.
Now they're going to move.
Ostre is pushed beyond the fire, so he can't really get back in a position of safety as he tries to fire through the connector.
Back up on the platform here. Repo able to pick up one kill, but he's very quickly traded out by Jasonar. However, Jasonar getting a little bit over-aggressive, taking a little bit more duel than he could take as Groovy manages to take him back down. Now down to a 2 versus 3 here. They're trying to wait it out and see if any of these players are going to be crossing through the crawl space. Professor Chaos firing a little bit too early. It does bring Roland down to about 5 HP, but they're going to flash that out. No peek following suit. However, they're stuck here now. Splyce not being able to find a way outside of this. Not being able to find a place to put that bomb down.
Professor Chaos with window control. 2 kills away for Splyce. The Mongols sitting at home. At least they got Katowice coming up. They will be there. But not confirmed 100% yet, but Roland,
sure
5 ASP. Well, the schedule was released, but I haven't seen a statement from them yet. I'm not holding my breath until I do. However, Professor Chaos is going to lurk forward. They want to try and force this issue. Bomb's not even going to go for the plant. They want to try and figure out exactly where the next 2 players are. In the open, Groovy, he's found, but a good response, though. It is 1 from Oscarish. Now it's a 2 versus 1. Abe on only 28 HP, but that is more combined than Roland and Oscarish have, and he's going to go immediately for the plant. 10 seconds he had to do it. But now that becomes the second man in the field. He can use that as a magnet to pull the Vexed players toward the situation, which he now can control, and they're going to do just that. He spots the first one. That's Roland down, and Abe, it's 1 kill, and Splyce will be here in a month's time. They will qualify, the first of the NA teams to do so, and they get through on a gift. But what a story it is.
And what a huge play from Abe to close it out, too. Abe had been pretty underwhelming in this entire matchup at this point, but then a huge clutch. The last shot, a jumping shot to finish off the player by Ticket Food. Splyce, what an amazing story to tell here.